Thank you very much, Tim. And just make sure the audio is picking me up. If you just let me know. That's good. Thank you. When I joined Toastmasters in 2006, I joined because I was useless at public speaking. And I don't know if, having just watched the international speech contest at district level, I would have run off and thrown my hands up and gone, there's no way I can do this. Or I would have been inspired and aspire to such levels of public speaking finesse and quality. So well done to the international speaking contestants, all six of you. It's a long journey and it's a lot of dedication to get where you are. Congratulations, regardless of your position. But my aim in joining Toastmasters was to be a better communicator, a better public speaker. And I certainly did not join because I wanted to learn about leadership. That was not on my agenda at all. But it's something that became really important to me because, let's face it, I thought I knew what a leader was. It's a military general, right? No. It's a politician. No, I don't think so. It's a CEO driving profits and not worrying about people. See, I had all these ideas of what a leader looked like, and they were not right. They were not correct. Because what I realized over my journey through Toastmasters, through club and area and district and international level, is that the journey is internal. It's not about what hat you're wearing, whether you're an area director, whether you're a club president, whatever you're wearing, even in your work, what hat you're wearing. It's not about the external, it's about the internal journey. That's the most important. And I want to talk about that today because to be an authentic leader, capital A, capital L, is a big responsibility. It doesn't mean that you can just be, I'm authentic, I'm just being myself, I'm just being a real, difficult person, because that's who I am. It doesn't mean that. It means you have to have self-awareness. It means you have to have a code of ethics to work on, and it means you have to be able to self-regulate. You have to have these pillars. So in order to become an authentic leader, to me, I firmly believe that you have to lead with love. And that is something that I'll be going on about today. I think it's so important, especially in today's world. So this is where we need to start. We need to realize that it's an internal journey and we're going to face internal leadership challenges. Things like staying humble. That's a big one. Getting the ego out the way. Having self-confidence. Being vulnerable. Overcoming fear. These are all things that we need to be able to address in ourselves, in our own internal journey, to make us a better and more authentic leader. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to just ask the host to please allow me to share my screen, and then I can show you some slides and so on. So whoever the host is today, the Zoom master, if you can allow me to share my screen and let me know when that's possible, I'll be very grateful for that. One thing I did realize, and I really want to emphasize with you, is that a leader is not the same and does not equate to leadership. So being a leader is not equivalent to having leadership. Because a leader is somebody who has a position. But we all know people who have a position who does not demonstrate leadership. And this is a key distinction. Just because the person is a leader, it does not make them to have the qualities of leadership. So that's a really important thing at the beginning. Okay, now I've got my screen sharing thing enabled, so I'll just move into my PowerPoint where I can show you some slides to illustrate what I mean. Okay, here we go. So we're coming onto the screen now, and I want to begin with the secret. Leading with love. The secret to authentic leadership is something that I really am passionate about. Being a leader, as I said, is not equivalent to leadership because one is a position, the other is a process. Just behind my head, you can see there, it's a process. And it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing internal process. Just metaphorically, put your hand up, because I can't see you with my screen sharing. How many of you know leaders that do not display leadership? Just in your head. Well, I'm definitely going to put my hand up. I've known a lot of leaders who do not display leadership. So the two are not equivalent. So we've got some people that raised their hands. Thank you. I think that a very real problem for organizations such as Toastmasters is that when people get into leadership positions, it's often the first experience that they've had of leading a group of people, leading a team. And the problem is this, it's because they've not experienced such things in their life. It has there's an occupational hazard that somehow that power that's embodied in that position goes to their head. Do you know someone like that? I do. I know lots of people who've allowed the position to go to their head. So leadership is not a skill. This is the strange thing. It's a process that you must work out daily in yourself. It's a learning experience. So leadership is all about learning. And I know that when I joined my Toastmasters club in 2006, I was quickly catapulted into the role of secretary, where I attended these mysterious meetings called executive meetings. And attending these executive meetings led me to one powerful insight. They were dreadful. They were dreadful because they wasted 2 hours of people's time. The people who talked the most dominated. The people who often had good ideas and didn't say anything because maybe they were more introverted were lost. And so, to me, they were very ineffective, which led me on a journey to go, okay, I want to know in this leadership journey, in this internal leadership journey, what is it that's going to make me a more effective leader? And also acknowledge the time that these people are giving up in order to make this club run and operate. And I was so grateful that I had such a poor experience at the beginning, because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have gone on my search. And my quest has been every single level that I've been a leader in and learned leadership about. It's all about looking at the people who are above me, if you like, who are chairing meetings, to see what I can learn. And if you can master chairing meetings, you are many steps ahead of the rest. Many steps ahead. There is such a level of skill involved. So it's not a one-size-fits-all model, as I said. It's not about ego. It's about learning. Humility retains beginner's mind and prevents it calcifying into expert mind. Oh, I love that quote. Humility retains beginner's mind and prevents it calcifying into expert mind. So our job as leaders is what? What is our job as leaders, whether you're an area director, whether you're a club president, whether you're a division district leader? Our job is this. It's precisely to make others shine. How extraordinary is that? Those people with big egos will go, no, it's not, it's about me. But it is precisely that. It's about making others shine. Benjamin Franklin said the greatest good that you can do for others is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him or her his own or her own, to reveal their riches to other people. So it's our job to do that. And when I talk about leading with love, what do I mean? Well, I'm not talking clearly about romantic love. I'm not talking about relationship love in the outside world. I'm not talking about sexual love. I'm talking about what the Greeks called agape, which relates to the behavior. It's not an emotion. So the behavior, for example, is in how you treat others. This is one of the things I'll come back to later on. How do you treat others? How do you treat others who mistreat you? Is a good litmus test for whether you can lead with love or not. You see, when you lead with love, you cultivate such wonderful things as generosity and compassion, meaning you're sensitive to other people, to their needs, to the circumstances. You open yourself to others and you're willing to help them. So it's very selfless. It's very selfless. It's about helping others. It's letting others shine. And as you develop your compassion, and no one's full of compassion, by the way, as you develop on a daily basis your compassion, you will learn to be authentic, even more authentic, and you will develop authentic leadership in yourself. So my question right at this point is, do you have the heart for leadership? That is a very valid question to ask, because what goes behind that is, why should you lead? Why should people follow you? What is it that you're going to do for them effectively? So do you have the heart to lead, or do you just want the honor? Let's take an example. You don't hear, I'm going to have a head-to-head conversation with you. When you need to have a difficult conversation, what do you hear? You hear, we need to have a heart-to-heart conversation. Because a heart-to-heart conversation means you're going to address those difficult issues and not do it where words will not be sufficient, because the words you say will not be enough to just coming from your head. You need to also have an open heart. So leading with love is about creating a culture. And think about it even in your area, whatever role you are, even in your family. But even if you talk just about Toastmasters, think about creating a culture where people feel involved and respected, and where they are encouraged and appreciated. Write these words down, where they're encouraged, appreciated, forgiven, listened to, and understood. And these things are so vital. I'll just take the forgiven one as an example. When I was serving as district governor, as it was then, I came across an email conversation, and it was rather unfortunate that, because the email conversation was between members of a team, between two people, it got a little bit flippant about the person in charge. And the person in charge was inadvertently copied in, as you can well imagine. Having read the long thread, he wasn't too happy with some of the comments. It wasn't very much, it was just flippant. But the lady who was responsible for starting off the conversation realised her mistake and just said, "Oh, I need to go and apologise." And so she sent him a message and said, "Look, I'd like to come and chat with you and apologise. I realised that, it was my doing." But he would have nothing of it. He said, "Why should I be involved in that? What's the point?" So he wouldn't forgive. And she never got the opportunity to be forgiven. And this, in an organisation which places servant leadership as its focus, but wouldn't that mean not only seeking forgiveness, but accepting forgiveness? Wouldn't you think? Especially when someone wants to apologise and try to make things right, but no, you just shut it off. It was like the quote, "Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. That's basically what he did. He just became resentful. And so he never let go of that. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to fully either. But the act of forgiveness is like a pebble in a pond. You know, the initial ripple it affects usually just a small group. In this case, it would be the two people. But the ripples keep on going. And they continue far beyond what we ever have the capacity or the ability to know, far beyond that. Now, to a leader who wants to lead with love, isn't that a wonderful thing? I've got another question for you. Is there someone you need to forgive? Think about it. To be such a leader who's able to forgive and move on, you need to have a tough hide with a tender heart. An elephant. An elephant has a beautiful, tender heart. But the elephant doesn't notice when he's treading on some thorns. He doesn't stop to worry about the little thorns that are coming in. No way, he just keeps going. And that's what you need to develop. A tender heart within a tough skin. Because let's face it, most of us are just the opposite, aren't we? We're thin-skinned with a tough heart. When somebody's mean to you, when somebody's rude to you, when someone you learn has said something about you on an email, then, what's the first thing you do? You get upset about it. Well, don't get upset about it, because hurt people hurt people. It's a truism. Hurt people hurt people. But there's more than that, because if you are on this road to leading with love, truly, to develop your authentic leadership, then I want you to do something else. I want you to refuse, to absolutely refuse to be offended. That's a tricky one in today's world, isn't it? Because everybody is offended by something. But refuse, please, to be offended. And your success as an authentic leader will then be measured by how you treat people who mistreat you. And that is what is going to give you the tender heart with a tough hide. Trust me, the further up you go in leadership, the tougher the hide you need. A hide like that elephant. Now, I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen. I know it's all online now, but if you can lay your hand on a piece of paper and a pen, let's do this one thing, because it's very important to look at the difference between task-focused and people-focused. And while you're gathering your tools together, I'll tell you why. If I go back to my time, my early days in Toastmasters, when I was on the various leadership committees, let's say a club or area, whatever, I got to learn of this strange thing. This strange thing was called a DCP. Now, everybody seems to talk in acronyms, and I didn't have a clue what the DCP was. I was new, and all I wanted to do was to improve my speaking and communication skills, and then I was getting a feel of leadership. But DCP, what's that? Well, I learned that the DCP had certain goals that you needed to achieve. And there were people in our club, in our area, who said, in order to become distinguished, you need, let's go back in time, you need 5, you need 7. And in order to do that, Charlie, when are you going to get your CL, or your competent leader? You know, it was all about getting the goals, getting the points, getting the ticks, ticking the boxes so that we could, and people were going, oh no, let's not put that in this year, let's put it in next year. Let's put your CL, you just asked me for it, now you want me to delay it, so I won't get it till next year, I won't get the acknowledgement. We'll put it next year, and they explain this thing about, yeah, but you know, it means we've already got one rung on the ladder, and it was kind of, my God, okay, that's why I'm looking at this right now, because at one extreme you've got task focus, and task focus is really about achieving the goals, isn't it? And at the other extreme you've got people focus. So just draw the triangle, cut out the people on top, and just write task and people. And think about yourself now. Where are you right now on that spectrum? Let's say there's nobody at people focused, solely. There's no one at task focused solely, but somewhere along there you will be right now. Where are you? Put a number 1 there. Put a number 1 where you are on that seesaw. That's where you're operating from as a leader. Are you more people focused? Are you much more people focused? Are you really task focused? In which case you'd be way over to the task focused side. Now, I want you to put a number 2 on that seesaw to represent where you'd like to be. Where would your ideal position be on that spectrum? It may be that it's right in the middle. It may be it's slightly more towards people focus. It may be that you're not task focused enough. So ideally, you'd like to be more. Just put a 2 there. So you've got a 1 where you are, a 2 where you are, where you would ideally love to be, and now I want to put you a number 3 on that seesaw, and the number 3 is really important. Put a 3 on that spectrum where you are when you are most stressed. When you are most stressed, where are you on that spectrum? So, for example, you might be normally more people focused, and suddenly the stresses come, and you're feeling this thing build up, and I've got to achieve this, and I've got to get these results, and I've got these deadlines, and I'm going to go right over to the task focus bit and put myself right over there. That's what happens to me when I go, oh God, I'm really stressed, Now look at those 1, 2, and 3. 3 is stressed, 2 is ideal, 1 is now. How are you going to get from 3 to 1, which is where you normally operate from? And how can you get from 3 to 2, which is where you'd love to operate from? So to summarize, task focus is about getting the job done. It's about working with deadlines. It's about a top-down approach. These are the tasks. This is what we need to do. In Toastmasters, we can see it very clearly when we want to become a distinguished club, because that's what people start pushing, and they lose the people focus, which is how are you developing as a speaker? How are you developing as a leader? Let's celebrate those things. Now, if you're people focused, you have a culture where people are encouraged and appreciated and forgiven and listened to and understood, the things we mentioned earlier. And what I'd really love to do now is to swap my screen. I'm going to shut my screen down, and I'm going to ask Sherry to show you a video. And the video is about a 5-minute extract from one of my favorite shows, and incidentally probably Sherry's as well, which demonstrates encouraging, appreciating, listening, and understanding. And I want you to feel your way into this and appreciate just how good this CEO, who's in disguise in Undercover Boss, how good this boss is for his workers. So let me just come out of share screen. So I think I'm out of it now. Just a moment. Stop share. Yeah, I'm out of that now. So I'll ask Sherry to, if you wouldn't mind playing that video, and then we'll come back to me after that.
CEO of Virgin Family Entertainment is undercover in his own company. His coworkers think he's being filmed for a documentary about someone trying out entry-level jobs. His journey continues in Branson, Missouri.
Morning, Albert. Hey, this is John Briggs. He's going to be working with you today.
Come on over here, John. We'll get you on a turnstile.
Okay, let's do it.
So it's pretty simple. All you got to do is call someone over for a ticket. Over here, guys. Scan their ticket, and the turnstile unlocked, and hand back their ticket. Want to give it a shot, John?
I guess so.
There you go. I can help you over here, sir. Ma'am, I can take your ticket over here. She's already through. I can help you over here, ma'am. Anybody? I grew up at this park. I've been on this park since I was 2 years old. I have all these ideas about theme parks and stuff. It's not just a place I work. It's my passion. I come from a pretty poor family. We weren't well off in any sense, and so I have to work to go to school, and I'm trying to go to school for work. I'm just doing 10 hours a semester, and then working 40 plus hours a week also.
What do you think the ideal job is here?
I would like to eventually be a CEO of Persian Properties.
Who's in that job now?
Joe Manby is our CEO. He is an awesome guy.
My name's Richard.
Hi, Richard.
John. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So just open it up. All right, now I'm gonna let you watch.
Okay. So this is
First,
the red
right?
one?
No, left.
Black one.
You turn the black part.
Whoa.
Whoa. All right, just keep it tight. When I release the pressure, just take that loose. I'm going to work now. I'm trying. Richard.
I think my hose is loose. Whoa, sorry, man. I'll get my boss.
I'm telling you, it's already got me wet. You might just stay behind me.
Where do you live?
I live in Galena because 2 years ago we lost our house in a flood.
Did you have all 5 of your kids, your adopted kids too at the time?
Yep. It was rough. We actually lived in a pop-up camper at first. We didn't have a place to go right then. So we still got quite a bit of work to do.
You're a hard-working man. I was overwhelmed hearing that. His whole home being wiped out from the flood. Everything's gone. And he's still working his way through that. Now it's time for me to reveal my true identity to each of the people I worked with over the past week.
How are you doing? Good, how are you?
I'm actually Joel, Andy, and I'm CEO of Persian Entertainment.
No. That was you, man.
That's a pretty good.
You got me. Oh, man.
I never worked the frontline jobs in Persian. And even though I feel badly that we had to do the disguise and you didn't really know, that was the only way I could get the real experience. Richard, you are a very special man. And you have a really special heart.
Thank you.
And we're very lucky to have a man like you.
Appreciate it.
That story about losing your home really touched me. And what I'd like to do is, for your home, allocate the full $10,000 of catastrophic funds that we have available to help you redo your house.
I don't know what to say. Well, I appreciate that.
You don't have to say anything.
You got me good. I've never dreamed about something like this ever happening. So it's going to be a big relief.
You're trying to work full time, and you're trying to go to school at night. You've inspired me to start a scholarship program. I should tell you, you're going to be the first recipient. You're going to get to go to school full time. So you don't have to work all day. You don't have to go to school at night. We're going to actually pay you your 40 hours a week salary while you go to school.
It's easy.
You deserve it. All we ask is that you in the summertime, when you're not going to school full time, you work, come back to work.
I'd love to. Can't keep me away from the place.
We need a lot of people like you with your kind of passion, your kind of enthusiasm.
First thing I'm calling is my parents. I'm going to be jumping up and down while I'm telling them, and I'm going to hear my dad. know he's going to be so proud.
Wow. That to me, I've watched it so many times, but that to me encapsulates leading with love. It just does it so well. You can see how he's encouraging the two that he's undercover, in disguise with. He's appreciating them at the end. He's given them $10,000 catastrophic funding. He's given him paying for his scholarship. I just find those qualities, are clearly, there's a man who's leading with love in his organization. It is just beautiful to watch for me. I could see it many, many times, and I always feel very moved by the man who was blown away. He said, "Oh, you got me, man, you got me good," and also by the younger guy who said, "My dad's going to be so proud." It's just beautiful. So he really operates from the heart. He really knows how to get to the heart of the people who work for him. And that's what I mean is, if you can aspire to something like that, then you have the heart for leadership. If you found that moving, then you have the heart for authentic leadership. And I'll just reflect back, just give you a few moments to reflect back on where the CEO, Joel Manby, where he encouraged and appreciated and listened and understood those two. Just have a quick think back for 30 seconds. So, we are going to move on from undercover boss and look at the secret sauce. We talked a little bit about, there's the task, there's Joel Manby, he's got his goals, he's got his profits, he's got his purpose, and he's got his people on the other hand. So when 60,000 people were asked, 60,000 employees, what makes a great leader? A great leader, 14% of them said it's people who are task-focused primarily and had no interest in people. Then they asked again, and then they looked again, and they saw that only 12% thought it was the people-focused, the people-focused ones. It's called relationship-oriented ones on here. But the sweet spot, a whopping 72% in that area between task and relationship. So in other words, if you've got the ability to focus equally on task and people, then you are way ahead. Do you know how many leaders operate from that sweet spot? 1%. 1%. If you want to be great and be seen to be great, a great authentic leader, then you will want to aspire to be in that 1%. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So 99% are either too task-oriented or too relationship or people-oriented. Look for that sweet spot. And if you can focus equally, as I said, on results and people, then and motivate people to do their best without losing sight of the bigger picture, then that's the balance that will enable you to achieve amazing and extraordinary results. What you need to be that kind of leader, again in more research, are these 4 qualities. And I just want to quickly go over these with you, because vision is about seeing things that others don't see before they see them. That's a quality that a leader needs to have. Risk-taking is part of the job with leadership. It just is. You've got to take the highs with the lows. Humility, now that's an interesting one. That's one of the hardest ones to learn if you haven't got it naturally. It's the self-awareness that you're no better than anyone else, than the person next to you. I remember the time when I was in New Zealand, and Kingsley Moody, who was the district governor at the time, was supposed to be part of this ceremony. But he said, no, Charlie, you go ahead. You are a leader that is an international leader. You deserve that chance. And I just thought he had the humility to step back from this challenge, which was pretty freaky. You're supposed to go up and receive something from the ground, not losing contact with the Maori warrior's eyes, and walk backwards to the people that you're bringing. It's a symbol of coming in peace. So it's not humility. And Kingsley Moody, rest his soul, he died last year. But for him, he demonstrated that it's not an absence of self-worth, but it's a validation of self-worth. That made it so clear, and he connected person to person with people. And humility is a difficult one. With the other one that we thought, which I had up on the screen, is empathy. Empathy is also quite difficult to learn, but it's because it's the ability to identify with all the feelings and the thoughts of other people. And I remember when I was district governor, I worked a lot up in Papua New Guinea to bring them into our fold in District 69. And this was their first area conference. But it was the ability to empathise with where they were coming from that gave me that strong connection with them. And I was accepted. You know, you see there's hardly any men there. Most of them are women. But it's a very powerful thing when you can empathise with people. You are accepted. You can try this. You can make 3 columns on your paper. And if you're in a team or if you're a leader, what do you want to see? What qualities do you want to see? Less of, the same as, or more of in your team? Less, same, and more. And let's see what comes up. If you do this as a team, you share them at the end. You can put them on Post-it notes, put them on the board, and see what happens, see what comes up. Often it's a reflection of the leader, in which case you have to have a thick skin to get that kind of feedback. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. How true. So I'm going to wrap up. Leading with love definitely works. It's not even in the hard times, but especially in the hard times. I really want you to know that. Leading with love is worth it. On every level, it's more difficult, and on every level, it is more rewarding, more fulfilling, more right than you can imagine. Let's show the world that love works. And that's a lovely way to kind of wrap up. Here was a little post from a person in District 17 who I admire, and she posted this, and there was a 6-year-old coming back and saying, this is why dogs don't live as long as humans, because humans have to learn more about love. Dogs already know it. So the message was love simply, care deeply, speak kindly. Let me leave that screen now and come back to real life with you. So stop share. Okay. Hopefully I'm back with just me now. In summary, I want you to understand that being a leader is not equivalent to leadership. They are not necessarily the same, where you could see that in everyday life. I want you to think about how can I encourage, appreciate, forgive, listen, and understand people more? How can I do that? How can I develop a tender heart with a thick skin? Ask yourself the question, do I have the heart for leadership? Because you may not do, in which case that's fine, but at least you know. But if you have this potent mixture of purpose and love, that in the end may be the single most important factor in enabling you to accomplish great things.